Hey everybody, welcome back to NC-17. Today we have with us musician, producer, actor extraordinaire, Rozz Ohlin. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm all right, I'm all right. Uh, so we got a couple things we're gonna go over, but first let's talk about the movie Flesh. Now,
Yep.
I was able to interview Nick and Amanda, and I wanted to make sure that I also got an interview with you because the whole movie was fantastic. So,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. So first let's talk about what your what's your inspiration for, like, how did you get into character for the character that you played?
Um, there's that was a hard character to actually portray in the first place. He had to be just nasty, downright awful, but at the same time, he wasn't quite as dialogue driven as other villains would be. However, one of my inspirations towards portraying him the way it was Otis Driftwood. Just that character was one of my main ones that I kind of studied. Had to be just downright nasty.
Oh yeah. That, if anything, that is a great example because that was a great character.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what, as you were growing up and stuff like that, what was your, like, your inspiration for music and everything else? Like, what genres was you drawn to, or was it always horror?
Um, there's a lot of different things, mostly horror though. I did like a good thriller every once in a while. Stuff like MBK is one of my favorites on top of that. But horror was a huge inspiration. One of my favorites of all time is always going to be The Thing from the 80s. And that one was a fantastic one that I always fell in love with. So
Oh yeah. So let's talk about being a producer on a movie. Like, we've talked about the direction and we've talked about the acting. How was the producing of the movie in your opinion?
producing is fantastic. All that I really did, at least in my experience with it, is help the director in any way possible. So whether if that means, hey, we need this, can you go grab that, or kind of one of those things. Um, on top of that, also helping out as much as I can financially with the group. I mean, we're not made of money, but every once in a while, if I see like a ring light that's on sale or just something that can benefit us, I'll go pick that up for us and be like, hey, we could use this on the next thing. That's another part of it. But also filling in where we need it, like with lights, audio. I was on the boom a lot. I was also getting lights set up. So it was just helping in any way I can with a little bit of crew we had. There's not many of us, so we just had to do every job I could.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Wendigoh Pictures, you guys seem like a tight knit group, which is always a fantastic thing
Mhm.
because not only can you guys trust each other and you respect each other, but it's like you guys can almost, and just tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like you guys can almost tell what the other's thinking. Is that true?
Very much true. Honestly, we have this energy where we just keep feeding off each other. That's why on the new movie, Bad Things Happen Here, Nick and I were just kind of feeding off each other the whole time. And if you ask anyone else who was on set, that is the dead truth of it all. Is like we are always passing forth ideas on the spot on how we should do this or that to try to make the scene as best as possible.
Yeah. Speaking of being able to do that, for Flesh, was there anything that was like ad lib that you didn't necessarily wasn't in the script, but what you added and got put into the finished product?
Um, the ending, the spoiler alert, it's towards the ending when my character ends up meeting his end. Uh, one thing that was ad libbed was when I was looking up at the monster coming back at me, saying, "Oh fuck, it worked." So
Oh yeah,
it's kind of on the spot, and we're just like, you know what? Let's keep that. That's cool.
oh yeah. Uh, so here's a question. I don't know if I don't remember asking Nick or Amanda, but, like, were there obstacles that were almost to a point to where it made you guys not be able to film and stuff like that?
There's always obstacles, and there's always plan B's and plan C's. There's a few things that we couldn't do because of obstacles. One being is there was one night we had to cancel a whole thing because our generator wasn't working and we're out in the middle of the woods. So when we can't get the generator running, there's not so much we can do because we can't power our equipment.
Yeah. Let's dive into your music. Uh,
Okay.
because you are the lead singer of a band.
Yes, I'm a lead singer of shock rock band Rackets and Drapes.
All right. What was your inspiration in like getting a group together and stuff like that? And was it always that genre of music that you wanted to do?
Not quite exactly. This band was pre-existing even before I was even born, actually. The band formed in 94. I was born in 96. What came about was I did this solo synth project named Arcstrider, which is credited for some of the music in Flesh, actually. Um, One thing about the band was it was always delved into like the shock value of things, kind of like Manson and Alice Cooper. It was one of those things. And then when I did Arcstrider, I was already friends with the previous lead singer, but still current band member of the band, Kay Kiff, and she was really cool about everything. It's just with age, couldn't do the hardcore vocals anymore, and was very impressed with the Arc Shredder work. So I ended up getting an offer to fill in, and we did a re-recording of some old songs and put it into an EP record. So
Uh, so if you had to go back and change two things, one with music and one with film, that you would want to choose to do differently, what would you do, if anything?
there's not a lot I would change because it's already led me to wonderful places already. Definitely still on the underground side of things, but honestly, it's where I thrive, so I enjoy where I'm at.
Oh yeah, that's a good answer. So you, do you mind if we talk about your family a little bit and see, just kind of dive into that a little bit? Is that cool?
Sure.
All right. So same question I asked Nick and Amanda, I'm going to ask you. What did your family think when you told them you wanted to get into this industry and kind of just pave your path?
Just full blown support. It beats just the sleep 9 to 5 thing. Like at least I'm doing something in my spare time because for a little while, quite a few years ago, there was I just go to work and go straight to bed. There was really no motivation to do anything outside of that. So I would just kind of either sleep or play video games too much, and it just kind of delved into some unhealthy habits. But this really got me out of my shell, and I was able to really start thriving in what I've always wanted to do.
All right. Yeah. So if there's like of like you now, if you could go back as a kid and tell yourself, hey, do this different, is there anything you would say to your younger self or no?
I would probably say don't underestimate yourself and don't give up because that was something my younger self did a lot, was just kind of let my own head and the words of other people get me too much, and I just would end up giving up
Oh yeah.
real quick.
Yeah. So I know one of your like heroes is Bill Mosley.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know you got a chance to meet him at Motor City Nightmares. You want to
Yes.
talk about that experience?
Surreal. Actually, honestly, the greatest thing about that situation is it proved to me that the motto "Don't meet your heroes" is a load of crap. Because I met Bill Mosley, as well as Nick. Drew met Kane Hodder, and Drew loved Kane Hodder, and like everybody was really cool and humble with us. And that's just something we were just expecting them to be like, okay, this is my job, that's cool. But for them to interact with us and treat us really well as the way they did, it was just a fantastic experience. Bill was very nice. Kane was really nice to us. Just overall, it was fantastic.
Yeah. This was you guys' first time at Motor City Nightmares, also, right?
Yes, it was.
So with that whole experience and everything, and I mean, because you guys had quite a few copies of your movie you sold out.
Yeah, we did.
Uh, so the whole experience of like meeting the fans and you being there, and how was that for you?
Uh, it was overwhelming but enjoyable. uh, a lot of things we didn't expect happen there. We didn't expect to really sell out. We really didn't expect for the amount of respect and love we got from our peers, you, even our heroes. Just everybody there was really cool. Like the booths around us were very nice. They were really good people and very creative, awesome people. Like shout out to James and Shane who made those cards, and
Oh
then
yeah,
that Sean Peacock who had that comic on the booth next to us. They just really nice guys. Talked to them every day. They were really nice and they're
uh,
really down to earth, and it was just a joy to be associated with them.
yeah. What's funny is when I was there. Now I went as a fan, because I'm a fan of horror. I love horror,
Yeah.
and I'll say to the day I die, I'm definitely a big, big advocate of practical effects.
Hmm.
Now, when I was walking through, and I kind of passed you guys' booth a couple times, and I was like, I know I'm going to buy the movie, but I was like, I just want to kind of get the right time and the right feel and everything like that.
Hmm.
But when I asked you guys what the movie was about and you explained it to me the way you did, you guys sold it 100%.
Okay.
Now, the best thing about the whole thing is like, now my rating for the movie. I gave it a 9, so it's good. Oh yeah, no problem. I mean, trust me. It might not be for everyone, but it's to the interpretation of the person who's viewing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It's all subjective at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. But I mean, when you could take literally everyday people and make something with love and respect and just like something that you guys enjoy doing, you're going to put out a good product, you know. Now, I will say, and I would like your thought on it too. I will say that when you guys said that it's a body horror movie, and then I found out everything that went into the movie, you guys subjected yourselves to some stuff that only loyal, true people would do. Am I right?
Absolutely. Honestly, we're our worst critics, so we are brutally honest about everything we do and how we explain it.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I will say that Wendigo Pictures, the movie Flesh was great. It was an awesome movie. I've already watched it, not even lying, 7 times. My wife was like, "Aren't you seen it enough?" I'm like, "No."
That's awesome. I appreciate that. That's a lot of hard work,
Oh yeah,
especially at the time we worked on it. It was really hard, and I'm glad it paid off.
oh yeah. So let's talk about your next project, which is Bad Things Happen Here.
Absolutely.
So with already getting your first film under the cap, going into your second film, was there anything different that you did the second time that you didn't do the first time?
Almost everything to an extent, because Flesh was a lot more of a learning process than anything else, because we learned a lot of do's and don'ts from how we operated, and we were a lot more tight knit. We were organized. We had not half scripts, we had full scripts. We knew exactly what scenes we wanted to do on this day. Like Nick and I were up late making like schedules and spreadsheets on how we wanted to do it right before we started filming it. So just 10 times more organized, and it went so much more smoother than Flesh did.
Uh, uh, is there, without giving away spoilers,
Okay.
is there anything for Bad Things that happen here you can kind of go into detail about without giving away too much?
Mm. Uh, Maybe I'm gonna have to think on that for a brief second. Because there's a lot that goes on in it. And I think the best way to explain it is what I think Nick has previously explained it. It's very much a psychological thing where you see your main character just kind of deal with a lot of traumas and a lot of current issues and just trying to see how she handles it. And well, with the theme of the movie, not the greatest, but it pretty much centers around, past traumas, current traumas, bad conditions, and bad memories, just everything kind of flooding and just becoming very nightmarish.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny when I did the review for the trailer, which by the way, first trailer and so far only trailer I've ever reviewed. I kind of got all of that within the trailer. You know what I'm saying? So I know that with Flesh being somewhat of it was supposed to have been just like a short film, but then you guys made it into a full length feature. Now
Yeah.
you got a full length feature. So there was probably a lot more to go into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was more. I mean, and I could be wrong, but because there was more to go into it, I think you guys are definitely going to step up the level.
Oh, for sure. When Nick presented the script, it was extremely ambitious. We really wanted to do it, but we were just kind of like unsure how we were going to pull it off. But as we kept kind of brainstorming, and he definitely got very creative more than anybody else on how to make this ambitious idea really pay off. So props to Nick for that. But we all just kind of fed off each other, was trying to figure things out, and we were, yeah, just a lot of ambitious ideas that we ended up pulling off for the most part. I feel like we did a really good job with what we accomplished with that so far. I'm just excited to see it finished. We're still working really hard on getting it all done and ready.
Uh, when you were younger, was your dream to be a musician and to be in film, or was it? Did you have another dream that you wanted, or like was just, bam, that's what I want to do?
There was always a part of me that wanted to go the musical route, and I'm glad that I did because honestly, the music is what led me to Wendigoh Pictures in the first place. It ended up turning in from me and Nick being coworkers at our day job, and I showed him this ambient track. He was just like, "Hey, I'm making this short. Could I use this for it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I told him about my high school experience in plays. He's like, "Do you want to work on the next project?" I was like, could be fun. So it definitely started with music, and that led to getting reintroduced to film because I was in theater in high school. And it just kind of led to everything I liked about, acting and the production just coming back to me. And I was just like, I want to keep doing this. But music was definitely first. Movies became a second in the last few years after getting acquainted with this group. And definitely it spiraled. I don't want to stop at this point.
Yeah, yeah, because outside of Wendigo Pictures, you guys are all friends and family. Like you guys see each other on a daily basis or talk to each other on a daily basis. Yeah.
Every other Sunday we're out bowling or hanging out or doing something. Like it's just how
Oh
it
yeah.
is with us. We're always just a tight knit group. We're just we're not blood, but we're all family. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's when I met you guys, and I told Nick and I told Amanda, and I'm gonna tell you, when I met you guys, to me, you're some of the most genuine people out there because you put out a product that you guys stand by 100%, whether people think it's good or bad, you know.
yeah,
And to me, it's all about respect. I mean, and I'll say it again. I said it in the last two. Hollywood today, there's just it's saturated with so much CGI, especially superhero movies and stuff like that. So, in retrospect, would you rather do like you did with the practical effects, or would you rather use CGI? I mean, your personal opinion.
easy practical effects. Because again, like I mentioned, one of my favorite movies growing up in the horror genre was The Thing. And honestly, in recent memory with the newest era of horror coming out, one of my favorites is the Terrifier series. So when you look at Terrifier, you look at the practical effects they're doing, it's really inspiring that that is becoming something that people are growing really fond of. And it inspires me a little even more to keep doing what we're doing, especially with our effects.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I know that with practical effects, there's a lot more that goes into it because you're not just typing it into a computer. It's like, hey, let's poke this rod through here and see how it looks and stuff like that. So, were the nights rigorous when you were filming because you guys were doing practical effects?
I wouldn't say rigorous. Honestly, it was just another day for us. Not really. Like this is what we do all the time. And like when it comes to making the props and prepping everything, again, like a good 70% of that is just Nick being dedicated in his spare time, and the other 30% is when he's asking for us to come help him. So honestly, it's just another day. And when we're on set filming with the props that we made to do these effects, we've already went through every scenario and have a backup plan, plan B, plan C, and we just keep going until we get it to work. there's always hiccups sometimes, but we always find a way to make it work. Just that's just how dedicated we are to making the best thing we can make possible and make sure it goes smoothly the way we want it to.
Uh, uh, so I asked Nick and Amanda, I'll ask you too. Once you were able to see the finished product, what was your initial thought? And when you saw it, because you guys saw it with an audience, right?
Yeah, we saw it at the premiere. We did have our own private showing about a week before.
All right. So what was your compared to your private showing and then you're seeing it with the premiere, was it two different feelings or was it both the same feeling?
For me, it was different feelings because when we were looking at it as a collective before the premiere, we were just kind of like, holy crap, like this is a product. Like, but we didn't really have like the holy crap, this is what the reactions are. Because that's one thing we noticed a lot more with the premiere was people's reactions as the movie was going on. When we saw it, we're the people who worked on it. We're just like, oh, I remember this night, I remember that night. And it was just like, wow, this flowed really much nicer than we thought. And then when the premiere came, you're seeing people's reactions. One person walked out, and we were just kind of giggling about that as like mission accomplished, right? Someone
Oh
got
yeah.
grossed out and left. So, so it was just one of those things where just like after you watch the movie with the audience and then people are coming up to you like saying what their opinions are, it was very overwhelming. It was much more satisfying compared to the previous showing where we just kind of watched it together and just like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then after watching it at the premiere, it really set in. It was like, okay, we made a fucking movie.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's when it really set in that this is not just some video that we made as a group. Like everyone had in the early days. This was a full blown movie.
Oh yeah. So I know I didn't ask this question to anybody because I wanted
Okay.
to reserve this question for you.
Okay.
Has it been all positive or has there been some negative reactions?
Um, when it comes to the premiere and everything that happened directly, it was very overwhelmingly positive. The negative that we did notice has always been on the Amazon reviews. And honestly, they're not that upsetting to us. They're honestly, we kind of laugh it off and just keep moving on. Some of them are so like you took the time to write out of this, but you don't care, really.
Oh yeah.
One of those. So
Yeah.
we just kind of
Uh,
laugh it off and move on.
oh yeah. So my wife has actually finally sat down and watched the entire movie with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she probably will never watch it again because it scared the hell out of her. But I was like, well, hey, they're doing their job. So but she did, and this is the first time she's ever given me a rating on a movie. Her
Mhm.
rating was a 7. She doesn't really do horror though.
Okay, that's
You
good
know,
for a non-horror fan. I like it.
so I was like, it's above average, so
Mhm.
but she did say that she respects the hell out of you guys because you did all the work yourselves. No computer stuff, no nothing. And she said that sometimes she even gets sick of like the CGI and stuff like that. Like I don't want to name movies, but there was one movie that was supposed to be real popular. You can literally see the strings and stuff like that, and I was like, practical effects I love, but then you see the CGI, and I'm like, yeah, you can see the green screen in the back, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But some of your favorite movies outside of The Thing, because I know that's your favorite,
One
that
of
you
them.
can possibly say that you drew a little bit more interest from, and because I know you already said Otis. So, or was there any other aspects of any other movies that you kind of drew inspiration from?
Um, honestly, there's a lot of classics, like you mentioned, The Thing. Obviously, Rob Zombie was a big inspiration to me, and honestly, everybody else too. We loved his work, especially with House and with uh Devil's Rejects. I don't know why the name slipped me for a minute, but aside from those, again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge fan of Damien Leone and his work with Terrifier. Uh, that's like a more modern one, though. Looking back in the past, I really liked stuff like The Crow. I really like stuff like that. that was a big inspiration that drew. John Carpenter in general, outside of The Thing, was another one, especially the original Halloween
Oh yeah.
was one of them. Uh, like the same cliche, like kind of cliche, but they're classics. Everyone loves them, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. One standout, honestly, was the 90s version of It,
Oh yeah.
because honestly, that was the only thing that terrified me as a child.
uh, uh, Speaking of it, that's like one of my favorite movies of all time. It like ranks up
Mhm.
there as probably one of my Hall of Fame movies. So,
Yeah, it's the same. Tim Curry just knocked it out of the park with that one.
oh yeah. Let's talk about your outfit for Flush. Did you choose it or was it in the script?
That was Nick's design with the waiters, the dirty flannel, the greasy hair, and all that, and just everything gross. That was all Nick's design. He picked out the costume and everything. Um, yeah, I had no say in it, but it fit the character well. He's a man living out in the woods, doing questionable things.
Oh
So
yeah. So filming that beginning scene when you had Amanda tied to the chair,
yeah,
I kind of detected a little bit of, and tell me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, like the way I interpret it, when you were doing that, it was along the lines of kind of like the way you saw your character was a little bit like on the edge and a little bit of reality. Like you were kind of crazy, but you knew exactly what you were doing.
yes, exactly. The character of Forest Man, he was essentially like he was on the verge of crazy, but he was very self-aware. He was severely intelligent. He wasn't completely unhinged. He was still a little mellow for being completely insane. That was kind of like the whole border. Just like when I say the inspiration for how I portrayed him was Otis, it was like if you took Otis and he was not as unhinged, but still the same amount of crazy.
Uh, I This is going to be a compliment, and I hope you take it as a compliment.
Okay.
To me, it was a mixture of Otis and Jack Torrance from The Shining.
Okay. I like that one.
Because the mental capacity of Otis, because he was going to do what he wanted to do anyway,
Hmm.
and Jack Torrance because his reality was slipping away. And
Yeah.
to me, that's the way I kind of interpreted it. And I mean, like I said, it's a compliment, and I hope you take it as that.
Oh, I absolutely do.
And like to me, The Shining and Psycho and movies like that, classic. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And with me, it's like when I see other people's acting, it's more along the lines of if I compare them to this person, it's got to be something similar to what it's happening, and that's just how I saw your character.
Hmm.
You know. Now, I will say I'm definitely looking forward to Bad Things Happen Here. Uh, do you play a bigger part in that movie, or how's that go? If you don't want to spoil nothing, I understand.
That's fine. I don't play like a main character in this one because I really wanted to let the new people that we got on to really have a chance to perform. I did a lot more like behind the scenes work with Nick. However, I do have a cameo in a scene, um, so in the movie. All I'm gonna say is I am very much portraying a character that embodies myself very pretty much because the character is definitely a performer. He plays in a band in the movie during a small little concert scene. So
Uh, all right, so with a couple minutes left, your social medias, would you like to plug those? Because I give everybody the platform to do that.
I don't have many social medias, but pretty much my main Facebook is where I kind of keep everything going on. I have a personal Instagram that it just goes by @illegal atrocity. I don't really post a whole lot over there, but it's available if you just want to follow @illegal atrocity. I'll probably accept it. And yeah, just the main Rozz Ohlin Facebook. I don't do a whole lot outside of it. Um, Dark Strider Facebooks, the Wendigoh Picture Facebooks, like, or all those pages. Those are the only ones I really am associated with.
All right. Here's a question for you. Is there anything you would like to tell like a younger person who may watch the video when it gets posted about the future, and like if they have a dream and stuff like that? Is there anything you'd like to say to any younger fans?
Whatever dreams you have, pursue them. It may seem impossible at the moment, but if you keep chipping away at it, who knows what kind of horizons you can bring for yourself.
Oh yeah. Well, with that, I would like to thank you, Rozz, for coming on. And you always have a home at NC-17.
All right.
Even if you just want to come on and say, hey, you're missing a tooth, you can do that too. I always
Okay.
like to end it with a funny joke, but sometimes they just fall flat.
I appreciate having me on, Josh. It was great talking with you again.
You too. And when the premiere of Bad Things Happen Here comes out, hopefully I can get the whole crew together and do a massive interview with everybody.
That would be great. There's a lot of people I know that would be so cool with that. So let's do it. Whenever the premiere is, let's do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Again, thank you, Rozz, for joining us. And until next time,
Until
stay
next time.
NC-17. Y'all be good.
Thank you.